All right, so time for the circle cabinets for the Palm Springs Surf Club Speak Easy. Fabrication wise, nothing you haven't made before. You've made circle cabinets with the kerf and the retainers and all that, and Lord's Party. It's mostly how they install, which does get in the way of how they're fabbed, but also just how they install. This will be for them. So the whole idea, if you haven't seen it, is there's right when you walk into place, there's these two big circle windows in the wall that they like. Oh, that's cool. But they're decided they don't want to have windows that just, I guess, look out into the machinery or something. So they're going to paint the windows black, and then there's about a 10-inch deep window sill. And then we're going to slide these cabinets in there, and then they're going to get attached to the windowsill and kind of float magically. And then there'll be some beach scene, and you're going to light them up. So again, so it's just circle cabinets. We made it, but just want to point out what's up, and what's goofy about them. So with that being said, let's get after it. So we're going to do 090 for strength for the retainer rings. So these are the outside retainer rings. These are going to be for the inside cabinet rings and the backer. And then the little power bits, we should be able to get a keystone with a switch, and then you'll just tack it up in the corner there out of the way, like a little spider just chilling up in the corner. These are going to be the retainer rings, and I got little Lords on splice boys right there, so keep an eye out for those. And then you've got your cabinet parts, the main body parts there, 063. And then 063 white. Those are going to be the inserts. And then you got your Frank Sinatra template. You'll just put that together, tape it together, and then you can tape it to a piece. And that'll be kind of how that goes. So retainers, I just have them on two separate pages here. I got the cabinet and I got the front retainers, but it's what you've done. You get these boys bent up, and then this guy goes underneath. This is your underneath jiggy. You can tack it all together. You can do tack on the inside too, or you could tack the outside and then clean it off. And then you're just going to Lords on a beauty ring. This is just a face beauty ring that gets all bondoed up. Now with the faces, we do have the, woohoo! We got our first. These are the Mark IIs. These are the magnet boys, all ready to go. So I shrunk it down to the 3/8. That's why you're going to be putting the 3/8 riv nuts in the face. We brought in that mandrel and all whatnot, so you should be good to go. But these guys do have the Cleco holes right here, so that matches up to these red boys here. So you'll be able to, once you get everything all done, once you get everything Lords on, once you get everything welded, then at the cardinals, the northeast, southwest, and then also the 45s, get in there with a little grinder. I have as much as I could possibly bevel here. I've got these beveled along there, but try to get as much as the weld out of the way and get all the boogers and everything, so that way this will sit flush, because this is all kind of depth set to how it's going to float off the face. So you have your face right here, so where the bolt sits and then how it bonks up against the magnet is it's all kind of tight in. So you want to make sure that the depth is proper when you go to Lords these boys in. Now I would please do Cleco these first. You can Cleco these in temporarily and then test fit before you do the final Lords. Let's make sure that, I hit my targets properly. So if there's any issues, we can change up, hopefully relatively easily. But anyway, so let's make sure these fit properly. But yeah, you're going to want to clean the channel out where these guys go, get these welds out. Anyway, that's going to be the faces. And then the cabinet is going to be what you've done before. The only weirdness is that the way these install, so this is for install, is that fab, you're going to go around the outside perimeter with the squishes going in, and that allows us to put a 5/16 bolt to go through the cabinet. And then what it's going to do is it allows us to temporarily put like a press fit and center this into the window. So, but again, those are all going to be at northeast, southwest, and then also the 45s. Normally I like to build these cans. I'll just take the easy route and I'll just bifurcate this circle and cut it in half, and you make one circle and one circle, because these things are almost 67 inches. So they're over our routing size. So all of it has to be spliced together. Super annoying, I know. But the reason why all of the things are at a weird angle is because at the 45s and at the 90s, we're going to have these guys. And then at the 22.5 degrees, we have blue screws. So what install is going to go do is go and use these as sort of jacks, and then go ahead and screw these, get them all set. And then you're going to have these holes intermittent, and then you're going to go ahead and permanently shoot blue screws into the drywall. And then that's going to nail it down really good. And then I have them staggered, so they're not just on a single plane. So the riv nuts go like this, and then the blue screws actually just go down the center, because they will use the 5/16 as sort of the jacking point to keep it stable. So what that meant is that I couldn't put a seam, like I couldn't just chop this in half and put the seam on there, because this would be in the way. And then of course at 22.5 degrees, I also had a blue screw. So that meant that everything had to be turned at 11.25 degrees to work in this area in between all of this mounting nonsense. So that gave us these weird angles. So I did put for install, I put a level line like this and this. So when you go to install this, make sure you keep the top, this way level, and keep this way level. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the faces, when you guys go do your, like I was telling you before, you're going to take these guys, tape them together. But when you go ahead, you're going to drill these out of your polycarbonate, and we're using white, by the way. You're going to drill these out. You're going to be using 3/8 hardware. So maybe just do a 7/16, but don't oversize it, because the bolt has to catch. So these guys don't have a lot of lip. Plus you can't really add a washer, because that's going to push the whole thing forward. That's not good. So you got to kind of hit that mark. So you got to kind of channel your inner CNC machine, even though you're doing this by hand. Try to get these as accurate as possible. That way, when you go to put it on. But what this also means is I already informed the Pete's that they will pick a top. So you just pick one of these holes, but there is a registration. So if it's a beach scene, we got to have that horizon looking good. So for install, we're back to that. Don't install it where you think this is the level or whatever. You got to follow this, and it will look funky, kind of tilted, before you put the white in there. So anyway, but follow the level lines. That way, whichever beach scene, however they orientate this, or orient, you're going to have that northeast southwest thing that's going to match up with the face retainers northeast southwest. So anyway, and when it comes time for that install, you're going to be taking, the face will be out, and the white will be out. So you'll have the backer. This is all open, and I did bring power here. There is supposedly room back here, because the sill is about 10 inches, but this cabinet sits forward a little bit, and then there's this little shelf thing. So there's room to bring Romex or whatever back here. And then so this is also for fab. So you're going to pick the spot between one of the blue screw holes and the topmost 5/16 riv nut on the return, and just pick that spot like you do, and then bonk this against your return and tack it. So that'll give you a tray, and then our switch and guy will tuck behind the retainer, and there shouldn't be any shadow or anything shouldn't be in the way. So it's a nice little unit there. You'll just bend that up like you do, rivet it on there, and now you have like a little power tray. So this right here will be where power could come in. Or if you get over there, or if we've done a survey, it's not too late to just, we can just abandon this. We can still put the tray in there, but we could go remote if it's easier. Remote might allow us to put like a double banger up here in the attic or something, and then we can run secondary to one spot here. So, whatever's easiest for install to have to do to bring power to it. But, so there's that. So just be ready for that. But for install, when you go to put these up there, you'll be able to reach your hand back here. You'll be able to feed and get it into the thing. And then you can wire it up from the power to the boy here, keep it out of the way. And then you'll just install your leashes and put all your LEDs in. And then after that, you'll put this in, and then you'll take these 3/8 socket screws, and you'll just screw them in. Again, no washers, because I didn't build any room for washers. And then this will just hold the face in, right? And then once the face is in there, then you'll just slide on the face on the retainer, and you should get the magnet boy. Click, click. Should all work real well. Hopefully, if everything goes right. So anyway, that's it. And then the way I got this laid out here, you got the kind of the return seam will be at the very top up here. So you'll have here's your bottom there, and you can see that's the 11¼ degrees is where it hits there. And then so here's your top, and then you come over a little bit, and that's where your seam will be. So that's why everything's kind of weird like that. So you'll have the return seams are here, and then the backer seam obviously is this guy. It's at the 11¼ degrees, kind of weird tilt there. And then the jiggy seams are here. That's this guy here. You can see it sliced through there. So there's just your underside weld jiggy. And then you have a beauty ring just to make it smooth and clean. Plus you'll have a relief, an 045 down. And so that will recess the riv nuts out of the way. So that way the socket screw doesn't sit. You can see the riv nut will sit inside there. And then that way the socket screw doesn't, it'll sit flush on the, or I'm sorry, not the socket screw, the face. The face will sit flush against the 09 because this guy will be recessed back. So anyway, and then also I hope I hit the target. Keep a lookout here. These should be clearanced for the 3/8. So remember 3/8 goes on the face and 5/16 goes out the side for mounting. But I should have clearance this okay. And so that way you should be able to have that. You should be able to have the underside jiggy with the hole there. That should go there underside. And then when you lords the beauty ring on, you should be able to do a fat sandwich of 09, 063, and then 09 or 045, whatever. And then that'll be a nice solid, and then there you go. And then hopefully the face goes on there and everything will be sick. So again, nothing too crazy. Just keep this accurate over here. And that's how that installs for install, Jonathan, if you're watching. So that's kind of what to expect. I hope it all works out well for you. But anyway, and good luck finding power. But otherwise, that's it. But if you have any questions, hit me up. Check